Welcome to Joe's Astrology. This is the astrology birth chart for Joe Rogan. And we do have the birth time for Mr. Rogan. And he is a Leo sun. He's a Taurus rising and a Libra moon. So we see here his rising. It's ruled by Venus. This is going to be a guy who's concerned with money. He's going to more likely than not have money because of that. And here we have Venus in Virgo, and it's retrograde. It's conjunct the planet of wealth and power, Pluto. And he also has Saturn here, retrograde in Aries. And I would say that's in the 11th house. So it's in the 12th in this chart. We're going to put it in the 11th. So as Saturn retrograde, as Venus retrograde, and they are making a aspect to each other. And they're making a Virgo in conjunct there. And the reason why I mention that is this chart, as we will continue to see here, is it has strong indications that this person is reliving some of the things he's doing in this life. And that's part of the reason why he's so successful and why he's good at what he does. And we start to see that with the retrograde and the aspect here between Venus and Pluto, and that it's in a what's called a balsamic phase. So he's finishing up this idea of Pluto and Venus with wealth and power. He's spent a lot. It's an indication that he spent a long time working on this. It's not new, and he's cleaning up old ties, for if you want to call it that. We can look at his south node and see Mars moving in Scorpio, moving away from that south node, and Moon moving towards it. So this is a family guy, and that's also ruled by Venus, so more emphasis on Venus. And you can see he's a family guy. He does care. He does care about people. He cares about the public. Moon being the public, mass consciousness. And we can see his Pluto here in the 5th. And with that Saturn there in the 11th in Aries, there's really an indication there too that he's really tried to move towards, he's tried to improve. We see a lot of the improvement with Venus and Virgo, and that in conjunct between Saturn and Venus. He has tried to improve, and if you watch, you can see how with the opposition there in Pisces, that he's really moving into that Pisces. We see with the part of fortune in Pisces, this guy I think he started off as a comedian. If you watch his comedy, it's not like the greatest comedy ever. You could tell he's put a lot of work into it. And that's here in the birth chart, you can see him really trying to move into that Pisces comedy, being ruled by, we could say comedy is associated with Neptune, Pisces, the idea of performing, being on stage. I wouldn't necessarily say comedy, but definitely the idea of being a performer, being on stage. And with Saturn in the 11th, you can see his show. I guess that's what most people know him for, the Joe Rogan Experience. With Saturn being in the 11th, this is a guy who's his work is he's interested in appealing to many, many different people and diverse individuals. And you see that with his show when he's bringing on his guests. They're all different. They come from a variety of different backgrounds. And he's very eclectic in that way. 11th house, Aquarius. You see his midheaven here is on the sign of Aquarius as well. And we see also, when we come back to this Mars here in Scorpio, where it rules and it's moving away from that south node. So he has a history of, being a martial artist, a boxer, interested in fighting. We could also see that with Saturn there in Aries. he has his south node. This chart is actually like there's so much to unravel that I'm kind of like all over the place. I'm not really trying to give like a clean cut. This is what Joe Rogan is. This is what his life is about. I'm just kind of going around looking at many of the things that he's been associated with here in the birth chart. We see his Mercury is here on the fourth house cusp, and it's also squaring the nodes, which is giving more indication that he's really tried to move here into that north node. Again, ruled by Venus. Well, I guess the south node we could say. Well, the north node here ruled by Venus, and the south node ruled by Pluto and Mars. But I also had that moon there being ruled by Venus. So a lot of indication here that he's tried to move into that north node, and we could say that's spirituality, expanding his consciousness, um, all the celebrity stuff. With you would say that that's that as well, like making money and um, expanding his consciousness that way, and just kind of like building his network and becoming a celebrity. We see his Mercury here is also in Leo, and Mercury is very powerful in on the angle there in the fourth house, and more of that being a comedian. We have Jupiter here. We have Sun. He's a Jupiter-Sun conjunction. That's also in that last balsamic phase where he's showing that he's has a lot of experience as a performer, and it's something that he's coming into fruition. And it's a fruition type life. This life that he's in right now, it's not anything new. His Sun also makes an aspect to Neptune there. It's squaring Neptune, another planet of performance and comedy and expanding the consciousness, things of that nature. We even see his Mars Neptune here, Mars Neptune conjunction in that last balsamic phase where he's he's not your typical fighter. He doesn't just go to the local boxing ring and box or learn martial arts from the local martial arts guy. He's heavily involved in the celebrity, very dreamy world of UFC, for example. Here, with that Mercury there, I do think that is even with Mercury being in Leo, being in its considered in its fall, with it being on the angle there and squaring the nodes, and he also has his moon in the Gemini decan of Libra. I do think this guy is a thinker. I think he could be associated with being a trickster at times. I'm sure he's not telling everyone what he thinks or about these subjects that he's bringing and these people that he brings on this show. He's probably not telling everyone the truth all the time about what he really thinks. But yeah, he definitely has been using that mind in this life to get to where he is today. There's no doubt about that. We can also see here that he has that moon. Let's see, 30, 55, 65. He has it close. He has that moon close to Moon Jupiter, close to a quintile. In fact, it's a 30. It's making a quintile to his south node. That's the aspect for talent. And so we see there is a talent between that Leo and Scorpio south node. Could say with that moon, with some of these things that I'm describing, he has a talent for it as well. I think I'm going to leave it there for now. If you'd like an astrology reading, I can read your chart. I can do lots of things with astrology. Also, please subscribe to the channel for more of these birth chart analysis. I have hundreds of other ones on my channel. Check them out, and I hope you have a great day.